Prof, we will be going live in a few seconds.
The world is changing, and so does change. But the mind has the potential to capture the changing world and make every change count. At Skillsminset, the leading global skills, strategy and corporate development company, we believe that the mind has the potential of transforming the man from obscurity to prominence. It's the reason why we make skills our business. At Skillsminset, we stand for change, for development and for success. We challenge, we inspire and we lead. With Skillsminset, your limit is just the beginning. Welcome to Skillsminset. For more information about the great service we provide, please visit our website on www.skillsmindset.com or give us a call on our UK number on 07957 676 193. Better still, send us an email on info@skillsmindset.com. Skillsminset. Challenging limits, maximizing opportunities. The world is changing, and so...
Yeah, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are joining from. You're welcome and greetings to you all. We're delighted to have you as you join us for this live session of the exclusive Transformative Skillsminset Masterclass, hosted by Skillsminset. Please let us know where you are joining us from the city you are joining us or the country you are joining us. Please let us know where you are joining us from. You are welcome, everyone. It's going to be exciting tonight. It's going to be informative. We are ready, and our guest speaker is fully prepared. Is ready to unleash and to, of course, share his experiences and, of course, knowledge with us tonight. It's going to be very interesting as we go through this discussion this evening, or you are hearing us wherever you are hearing us from. But it is very important that we know that you are with us. It is very important. It helps us to plan. It helps us to be ready and be prepared. So please let us know where you are joining us from. People on Facebook, people on LinkedIn, and of course on YouTube. Can you just drop a line to know that you are here and you are, attending this masterclass with us this time? So please let us know. You are all welcome. We welcome you to this wonderful session now. So please let us know where you are communicating and joining us from. Thank you so much. Thank you. But while we are waiting for attendees, attendance, to get populated, we will want to progress. We want to proceed because of time as well. And then we want people who are already on the platform or any platform of your choice. Please just drop a line as we continue. So we want to progress on this masterclass, on this session, and wonderful and interesting discussion tonight. So, and that's what we have to do. So, yes, as soon as you are, letting us know where you're joining from, we'll acknowledge that as we progress on this session. So we're excited to embark on this journey together as we explore the power mind resource of experienced experts. Together, we will uncover and enhance the opportunities available to everyone in the areas of skills development, business progression, professional growth, and of course, leadership. Tonight or today, we will be discussing another intriguing and captivating topic: interpersonal mental health issues and interventions. Mental health encompasses our emotional, psychological, and social well-being. It affects our thoughts, feelings, and of course our action, and eventually shape our self-perception, the stress management ability, relationships, and decision making. Mental health issues can range from common disorders like depression and anxiety to more severe conditions such as schizophrenia, and bipolar disorder. The impact of mental health issues can be profound as well, and impacting particularly on individual quality of life, in relationships and physical health. Friends, joining in this challenging conversation, you will agree with me, requires the proficiency and experience of someone deeply informed in this field. Please join me in welcoming Professor Femi Esan, Femi Esan, the principal consultant of the Transpersonal Mental Health Clinic, the Global Academic Director of Elroy London Academy, the Vice Chancellor of Elroy London University. He also serves as the ambassador of the Sovereign Kingdom of Hawaii to the United Kingdom and European Union. With over 10 years of practical experience as a transpersonal therapist, specializing in transpersonal mental health interventions, Professor Femi Esan brings a wealth of knowledge to our discussion tonight. As a professor and professional coaching psychologist, we are deeply and delighted to have you as our guest on this edition. Welcome, Professor Femi Esan. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Wingalawan, for this wonderful and highly privileged opportunity to discuss a very vital and a very important aspect of who we are, talking about the health of the mind, which is also known as our mental health. As we know that our health is in different facets, physical health, emotional health, but looking at mental health from the transpersonal perspective is the main ideology behind this approach. And so thank you so much for this, Femi.
Yeah, thank you, Prof. Before you proceed, before you can take the floor, and then of course, you have the time, I just want to welcome, those who have joined us from Facebook. We have Professor DBE. You're welcome, sir, for joining us from all the way from Nigeria. You are welcome. So some others I couldn't see the city you are joining from LinkedIn, from YouTube. Please try and indicate so that we can acknowledge and welcome you, or give you a shout out as well. So, Prof, because of time, we will, while people are joining, I'll be picking that up, or perhaps if they are able to share the city in which they are joining from, that will be very interesting. We have Darius Shonaya joining from London. You're welcome, sir. That's from YouTube. So there's some other people from YouTube as well. So, but Prof, you will be going ahead, going to take the floor, and then of course unleash, your experience and then of course knowledge to us tonight, because again, this is a very challenging topic that you want to touch on tonight. It's a very challenging conversation because I've had we've had some conversation around this in the past, and I know that it's a very, very difficult area. Some people are willing to talk about it. Some people are not just willing to talk about it, whether they are shy about it or they have some personal reasons, about it. Or in fact, but again, we have different approach to different things or same thing. But please feel free to let us know what we need to look out for, how we need to deal with it. You've got the floor. You got the mic. Please go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Benga. Once again, I want to appreciate this wonderful privilege to come and share what I would call a new paradigm approach of mental health. Transpersonal mental health. I'll give a brief of historical background about that. That we, that we see, in terms of how do we look at mental health? How do we look at mental health? Now, you have to do the definition of what is mental health. So, we know,
Prof, sorry to interrupt. I'm not sure if the internet is good. Could it be from my end or from your end? But just to be sure that I'm hearing some feedback. I'm not sure if it's from your end, but please go ahead, sir. I'll see what we can do from here.
So, looking at the very definition of mental health, so we want to introduce to our audience I'll call it a new paradigm in the history of mental health approach. So tonight is an introduction to transpersonal mental health care, exploring mental health through transpersonal development psychology. Now, the concept of mental health, as we see, which has to do, with the health of, with the health of the mind, so when we talk about the mind itself, we are talking about the seat of consciousness, the seat of consciousness, and the seat of consciousness, the mind, which is also where we have the solical domain of human being. So man is known to be a tripartite being. Okay, man is a spirit. He has a soul, and he lives in a body. Now, these three components of who we are is an essential factor that becomes the foundation of building what I call mental resilience. That is, we all interpret our world through a framework. So, as we define mental health as anything that affects the way we think, the way we feel, and the way we behave, and how we develop a coping strategy for the stress of life. Now, if it permits me to do some digging there, is based on what I call, what is your ontological belief system? A few minutes ago, I was on the train, I was sharing with one of our students that any intervention you have in mental health falls within a paradigm of an ontological belief system. What do I mean by that? As we know that the ontology is the philosophy of being and existence. That is, what is reality and how reality comes into existence. Therefore, any intervention in mental health must fall be within an ontological paradigm. And we know that the dominant ontological paradigm of reality that the majority of the world is experiencing is based on materialism. That is the material essence of who we are. Therefore, every medical psychiatric intervention, because of time, it is based on the ontological foundation of the mind and the body. So they approach mental health through medication, through therapy, but the therapy and the medication falls within the paradigm of the embodied self. That is, man seen as a component of the mind and the body. And so we talk about the neuroanatomy, the neuropsychology, and the neuroscience of our existence. However, over the years, there has been a limitation to that approach to psychiatric medicine. There has been a great limitation because if you look at the interventions of the use of drug medication, oftentimes evidence shows that it leads to addiction. People become addicted. They become addicted. And therapy, of course, effective, very effective in terms of the talking therapy, the cognitive behavioral therapy. There's different types of therapies that exist that the NHS will prescribe to people going through mental health difficulty. However, like I said, both this therapy and the medication as form of intervention, they all falls within an ontological paradigm of reality, which is the material self, the self seen as a body. And so, for example, you are giving medication that will affect your neuropsychology and your neuroscience. It said, then you go for therapy and they try to explore your mind. They explore, for example, cognitive behavioral therapy. These are interventions that they look at, they look based on the concept of my cognition affecting my feeling, affecting my behavior. And so the basis of that is just, okay, I think, I feel, I behave. Now, I'm just laying the foundation for this therapeutic intervention that are dominant in our world today. But here is our argument in the transpersonal mental health movement. The argument based on this thesis that any intervention in mental health approach that sees man as just mind and body, it's very reductionist in its approach. Man is not just mind and body. Therefore, we say in transpersonal mental health, the word transpersonal, which loosely means trans, to go beyond the personal ego, to go beyond the self, meaning that there is a level of development that goes beyond the egoistic self, that is my sense of identity, what I simply mean by my biological self. That is, if you look at me from the outside, that my true essence or who I am is not just my physical body, and that is a transpersonal. That is it. That is, I exist beyond time and space. What does that mean? I'm a spirit. Because I'm a spirit, my existence trans time and space. Now, this is our approach in transpersonal mental health. And the central thesis of this ideology is based on the premises that a sound spiritual health is the foundation of a sound mental health. I will repeat again. A sound spiritual health is the foundation of a sound mental health. Our argument is based on this thesis that to build mental resilience, to cope with stresses of life, that resilience cannot just be only cognitive. It has to be spiritually integrated. And so we come up with a model called the biopsychosocial spiritual model. I will say it again, the biopsychosocial spiritual model. So we are not neglecting the biological, the social, and the psychological. However, we are now integrating the foundation, the most essence, the spiritual dimension of our existence. Having said that, not all mental health issue is caused by spiritual factor, and that's why we use the bio-psycho-social spiritual model. That's it. And that spiritual model, this is an integrated model approach to our transpersonal mental health intervention. That is, when an individual, you have to look at the biological, because there are mental health issues that are purely biological, okay? Bio-psycho. There are also mental health issues that are purely originating from our psychological self, which is our relationship with people and environment. Bio-psycho-social. The social aspect, our social health, is talking about our social capital, our social intelligence, our relationship with people. These also factor, for example, there are social determinants of mental health: poverty, economic status, education. All these psychosocial factors affect people's mental health. However, we now say, wait a minute, there is also the most essential, the spiritual. The spiritual. And that spiritual is the transpersonal dimension we are talking about. What is that spiritual? We are saying that, wait a minute, the foundation of who you are is not just by a body, okay? The foundation, if you look at this diagram here, man is a tripartite being, is a spirit, he has a soul, he lives in a body. And this is how you see complete mental health care practice. The bio, psycho, social, spiritual model is based on the tripartite nature of man. So if you look at this diagram here, man is a spirit. Now, through man's spirit, he has his spiritual God consciousness. And through the soul, and here is the soul accommodates the mind, the emotion, and the will. You see that? And by the soul, man has his psychological consciousness. And through that, how he relates with other beings. Now, your emotional well-being, which affects your mental health, is directly linked to the relationship and your environment you find yourself. Doctor, I often say this to our spiritual, religious people, quote and unquote, that whoever lives with you under the same roof has more power over your life than God. I say that again. Whoever lives with you under the same roof has more power over your life than God. Why? Because of your psychological self-consciousness is related to your relationship and your environment. And that is where you have the mind, the emotion, and the will. And so our mental health, which we define as what affects the way we think, the way we feel, the way we behave. You see that? Then our body, that is our physiological world consciousness. So through our body, we are able to relate with the environment and the physical world. And that is key. Now, all this explanation, how does it affect one's mental health? Every human on this planet, we operate under a paradigm that is based on a belief system. That's it. Your belief system now forms your lens through which you interpret the world around you. So man lives in the natural senses. He hears, he feels. Through his senses, man is able to interpret stimuli from the environment. And those stimuli affect our mental health. Don't forget, we said mental health is whatever affects the way we think, the way we feel, and the way we act. Now, the way we think, the question you ask is that, where does thought come from? What initiates thought? Now, doctor, this is very important to the medical model of psychiatric medicine that is built on the dualism of the mind and the body. Now, I can think because I have senses. I can see something, I start thinking. You see that? And once I start thinking about a stimuli, I will have a corresponding feeling. Every thought has a corresponding feeling. That is foundational. And my feeling will directly influence my behavior. You see that? So I think, I feel, I behave. That's it. However, what initiates thought? Our sensory apparatus. That's our neuropsychology. So in my environment, in my ecosystem, I begin to get stimuli, either through touch, what I hear, who is speaking to my life, what I see. They can put pressure on me. You see that? I can start having mental stress because of what I see, what I hear, what I touch. Because those stimuli initiate thinking. But that is also not a complete truth, sir. There are also stimuli that are not visible, that also stimulate thinking. For example, there are internal stimuli through my neuropsychology. I'm feeling in my stomach, I'm eating. So my peripheral nervous system, my digestive system, that is my physiological system, also initiate feelings. And I start thinking, oh, I'm feeling this way. Thought comes to my head, oh, maybe I have this sickness. You started feeling. To that, you are having stress. Okay, then how do you now deal with that feeling? So you go for your medical checkup. So you conduct diagnostic assessment. The doctor gives you empirical evidence through test. And then your mind is at rest. Okay, I've done my test, so nothing is wrong with me. Then you have this peace of mind. But there's no money to pay for my bill. I become anxious. Now, there is no doctor that will diagnose that. How I relate to lack in my environment depends on my belief system. That belief system becomes the framework through which I interpret those stimuli that are not visible. So I have a job interview. I'm looking for this job. Oh, I've prepared. Am I going to pass this interview? I begin to become anxious. I'm stressing. Now, my peace of mind or my mental stress is coming from a philosophy of my life. Every human being has a philosophy. Every human being has a belief system. That belief system is what we use to interpret everything that happened to us in life. And now that belief system can now be the foundation of mental stress or mental resilience. My belief system can be the foundation of the pressure I'm putting on myself. My belief system can be the foundation of the peace that I'm experiencing in the middle of turmoil, that people will look at me. Why are you so peaceful? Because I'm operating a belief system. And so in cognitive behavioral therapy, one of the most effective intervention, your belief system will be explored, by the therapist. But having said that, what is belief system? That's the question you ask me. Where does belief system comes in? Now, if my belief system can either be my curse or my blessing, the question is, where do I get my belief system from? How do I come to this stage in my life to believe what I believe? That's a very big question. My story starts from my family. What social psychology call my primary socialization. My family value system. I begin to form a mental image from my family. So when we're talking about mental health, doctor, it is from the primary socialization that many of the faulty belief system started from. And as we grow into adulthood, we begin to form our belief system. Now, if your belief system is only based on material reality, there's going to be a problem. And then you begin to see the stress. If your belief system is based on material existence of human life, That means my sense of self-worth, my self-esteem, my totality of my sense of idea is purely materialistic. Sir, you can see in the world that we live today, that is the dominant belief system. The dominant belief system that man bases his self-esteem and a sense of self on material wealth. And materialism has become the curse of mental health today. People judging themselves, comparing themselves by the certificate, by the bank account, by everything that is materialistic. Is that not the dominant belief system that is operating in the world today? And that's where we have trouble. Because those material systems that form the criteria for assessing our sense of worth, they are subject to change. Maybe you marry a woman, she's so beautiful. Wow, every statistic is intact. But wait a minute, let that woman continue to grow. Gravity will take its course. Even the man with the six-pack, let that man begin to grow. Gravity will take its course. So if I value you based on your physical appearance, which is coming from an ontological foundation based on materialism, all the essence of my value system is driven by that material consciousness. And so when that woman starts losing shape, for example, she gave birth to you, your first child. She has lost the shape because of the excess fat. And then you now have the good excuse, oh, mama is not looking sexy. Mama is not looking attractive. You see that belief system. But you are not looking at what you did to mama to that extent. And you are not ready to help mama to go to the gym, to go and lose weight. You are not ready to do that because everything that informs your decision about mama is based on the embodied self. You are not looking at the contribution, the cognitive, the intellect, the talent that mama has before you make that decision. Again, you can see, sir, that our belief system is either the foundation for our mental stress or our mental resilience to withstand the pressures of life. So, moving in the direction of transpersonal mental health, that is based on the belief system that I'm a spirit. I exist beyond time and space. That is the transpersonal approach there. So if I'm a spirit, okay, a practical example, people have asked me over the years, now what do you do? You are living in an environment, there is no resource. The resources are very scarce. Watch this. It's very scarce. Opportunities are limited. And then I'm anxious, which is natural. I'm anxious, worry setting for my future. If my belief system is based on material self, that is, all I have to see is what is within my environment. Okay. I will go through stress. Why? There is never enough resources. Opportunities are what? Limited. Job scarcity. Pressure comes. Like they say in my country of birth, Nigeria. Pressure, there is pressure. It is true. There's internal pressure. There is what? External pressure. Expectation from the family. Expectation from the girlfriend, from the wife. Expectation from peer pressure. Boys have to be boys. Boys must be boys. There is pressure. Now, if all I believe is based on my material reality, that pressure will continue, sir. And this is the origin of depression. One of the major symptoms of depression is hopelessness. Doctor, I put it to you, sir. Can you use a medication to create hope for an individual? Someone that is hopeless. Hopelessness is one of the major symptoms of depression. That is, when people look at their environment and they see no way forward. And don't get me wrong, sir. They have every reason to think that way because the factual evidence in their environment, based on empirical evidence from their senses, is saying there is no way forward. The bank account is a fact. It is minus. Then what do I do? Are you going to give me a medication that will cure that? Or you are going to give me a therapy to change my mind about the reality of my situation? That is the reality of my situation. However, that is a factual evidence. So in transpersonal mental health intervention, we don't deny factual evidence. We don't deny. And that's why the bio-psycho-social spiritual model. The bio tells me in my biological state of thing, using my senses, I can see the bank account is empty. That is reality. However, because I'm transpersonal in my approach, go beyond. If I switch to my transpersonal identity, that is, I'm a spirit, I exist beyond time and space. That means I can move my focus into the spiritual domain to tap into resources beyond my environment. And then I have a peace that passes human understanding. I rest my case.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah. I know that there are questions coming in. I'm not sure you will have time to look at, while you were presenting. But of course, there are questions coming in which I'm going to be asking you. Do you want to talk about a particular symptom of mental health as a case in point here, or as a point of departure to further discussion into understanding the issues around that, and of course the specific intervention that is may probably be required in dealing with that? Do you want to do this?
Yeah, I mean, the World Health Organization stated that by 2030, the number one health issue that will be affecting the developed world and developing world is depression. So we are in a global pandemic of depression. And depression is on the increase. Whether we like it or not, that is a major problem, sir. And the symptoms of depression and signs are there. All of a sudden an individual become not motivated, mood swing, they will become withdrawn, and they become antisocial, they are isolated. All of a sudden they become a melancholy, they don't talk again, and if this mood persists for weeks, it's dangerous. Because the more it persists, it can lead to suicide. So the individual lose enthusiasm about life. Things they are enjoying before, they are very lively and bubbly, they are very chatty, and all of a sudden they become withdrawn. Withdrawn, and they can go for days not talking to anybody. They are indoor, and that's why it's very important for us to check on people. They are indoor, they are not talking to anybody. You invite them to social gathering, they are withdrawn. Those are very strong indication that this person is going through depression. Now, the danger of it is that a lot of people cover it up. Yeah. They cover it up with excessive, overly becoming friendly. I always say to my student, when you meet someone in a day and they are overly friendly to you, I say, watch out. 2, if you meet someone that every time you see them, they are always happy, sir, it's a lie. It is not possible for a balanced human being to be happy every day, every time, doctor. It's not possible. There's something they are covering up. So these are very subtle signs that people cover up symptoms of depression. But with time, it will be obvious that something is not really adding up here, especially in their talk. You will notice that the element of hopelessness, no matter how you are positive, you want to encourage them, they don't see any way out. That may sound familiar. They will come to the place of, so it is, it has been that, nothing is going to change, it has always been that. You try to talk them, you try to motivate them, they don't see anything how. They don't see anything good coming to them. They don't see anything good in their environment. They don't see anything good in the family. These are very dangerous signs. And it is expressed in their discussion. So whenever you see people like that, all of a sudden, they become pessimistic. They are overly concerned with the negativity side of life. They don't see anything, even when they see a slight, light of hope in an issue, they won't see anything there. And it is, and again, it is not the absence of material comfort, because if you look at the prediction of World Health Organization, it states that both developed world, sir, and developing world, we have the same problem. Mental health, depression would be number one health issue. Now, the question is, if developing world with the material comfort in terms of socio-economic factor would be expressing the same thing with developing world that is struggle with finance, it tells you that material comfort is not a prerequisite or an immunity against depression. And this is what we argue in transpersonal mental movement, that you have to approach depression from a different paradigm. Because what will make a millionaire to commit suicide, sir? He has money in the bank, yet he's depressed. What will make a famous, talented footballer to commit suicide? A famous Hollywood star, depressed, and they go on and they become addicted to drug, and they have money, they have fame. That means we have to question those symptoms. Or are we dealing with symptoms over the years? Do we not look at the root cause, the foundation? Because if you deal with the symptoms through therapy and medication, the root is not cut off. And that is why we argue in transpersonal mental health intervention that you have to look at the ontological foundation of your intervention. If the intervention is still based on the idea that man is just mind and body, that is very limiting. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much. Thank you for that again. Yes, maybe we should take some questions. Would that be all right with you, Prof? Would that be okay, sir?
You're welcome, Doctor.
Yeah. So there are a few questions in the, from this list here we have here from those who are attending. Let me try and pick it from the very first one, then we'll run it through the recent one we got. Yeah, good stuff. Yeah, the first one yes, let me pick on this. I'm not sure you can also see it on the screen. It's saying that if the spirit is the stronger, is it not possible the spirit moderates the thinking, feeling, and actions? And there are follow-up questions on that in that context, but maybe you want to deal with that first before I raise the other ones.
Yes. So if the spirit is stronger, if you look at the slide here, say, is it not possible the spirit moderate the thinking, feeling, and action? Of course. However, the spirit is also influenced by the biopsychosocial factor. Even the spirit is strong, but the spirit is influenced. Now, if you look at this diagram, you will see there is an input from the soul into the spirit, and there's input from the body to the soul to the spirit, meaning that the solical domain of man affects the spirit. The body dimension of man, through the senses, it receives information, also affect the spirit. Now, the question is, How can we build spiritual mental resilience? That's it. So when I have all these impulses, stimuli from my senses, how does it affect my spirit? It is simple. Depend on the health of your spirit. That's it. The health of your spirit will sustain that barrages, bombardment of stimuli from your environment, every negative thought. But if your spirit is not healthy, you will not be able to build strong spiritual mental resilience. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yes, let me also post this question there. There's another question about the spiritual dimension to mental health, but we'll have a few ones on that one. This one is also saying that is the belief system inherent in the spiritual, and I think you have touched on that actually. That the belief system inherent in the spiritual, isn't it? Yes.
And not everybody, doctor. Not everybody.
Okay.
Because you can be religious and not spiritual. So we cannot assume not everybody subscribe to the spiritual framework of a belief system. That's it. So it depends on the individual. So if your belief system is inherent in spirituality, then you invest into the developing of your spiritual health that will now build your spiritual mental resilience to face the pressure of life. Because both religious and non-religious, spiritual, not every one of us will face the same pressure as long as we live in this body. That's it. But our mental resilience now draws strength from our belief system, whether it's based on a spiritual belief system or is based on myself as my God of myself. And you exclude the divine from your philosophy of life. Even at that, even if you have an inherent belief system that is based on spirituality, what we have noticed over the years is that the health of your spirit determines your mental resilience. You can be healthy physically and be malnourished spiritually. Thank you, sir.
That's true. Thank you. I don't want to label that too much because, again, like you said, whatever it is spirituality means to you, whatever that is, you have a kind of a belief system inherent in that, and that informs the way you think, the way you feel, and the way you behave, whatever that spirituality will be. Yeah. Thank you, sir. Yes, we have other question. I think it's coming from Professor Fosedi as well. So he said, is the spiritual dimension teachable beyond? Now, I like this question. Is the spiritual dimension teachable beyond what happens in the religious gatherings?
Thank you, Professor. It's an interesting. You see, I'm smiling.
Yeah, I like that question.
I don't want to run into trouble, but at this junction, I think we have to confront the trouble. Now, my dear Professor, spirituality is also multidimensional. We have social spirituality, individual spirituality, intellectual spirituality. Then we have authoritarian spirituality. Now, what we found from psychology of spirituality and psychology of religion is that most religious gatherings are operating authoritarian spirituality. And that authoritarian spirituality, from its word itself, based on authority of a figure that they put there as being the revered, the guru of that religious movement. Okay. However, in transpersonal psychology, which simply means psychology of spirituality or spiritual psychology, you don't need to be religious before you can be spiritual. Because our fundamental belief system is that spirituality is not in ritualistic teaching or gathering. Spirituality is the essence of who you are. That's it. And it's a discovery of my essence, of my identity. Now, I can be taught psycho-spiritual philosophies that can come from the spiritual religious readings, like the Torah, like Quran, Bhagavad Gita, all these religious books, I can read them, okay, that they will now inform my spiritual growth, but they cannot give me my true spirituality, because I'm a spirit before I met any religious leader. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that. Again, just to follow up, to that. Now, the question again still remains: how do you therefore teach someone, or how do you nurture someone in that spiritual dimension in the first instance? Now,
Okay.
I understand that if religious activities or gathering is not an element of developing spirituality, then where and how do you teach that? And I think that's what Professor Apostle was trying to say.
Yes, Doctor,
How do you can't just realize spirituality yourself and just realize. There must be some level of teaching and nurturing, and
of
that is
course,
really
Doctor,
heavily embedded in religious activities or teachings.
there is spirituality in religion, okay?
Yeah.
Of course, but what has become the criticism of that is that people tend to take solace in social spirituality, which is more religious. That is the spirituality I encounter by the gathering and the fellowshipping of my fellow people that believe in the same system. And so I go to a religious gathering to hear, to be taught. But the danger of that is that whenever I listen to any religious teaching, is conforming and defining my thinking. And so if you don't carry out your critical reflection of what you hear, you can be endangered. Secondly, it also conditions people to be mentally dependent on the gurus of this religious movement, and therefore exclude the development of individual spirituality. And that is what we argue in transpersonal mental health, that your spirituality is your responsibility. You must take responsibility for your spiritual growth. I can eat from you if I believe in what you believe. If I believe that what you are giving me will nourish my body. But I have the final say to decide, or not only that, to go back home like the Berean Christian in the New Testament that went home and searched the scripture to say what this Paul taught us. Is it true? But sir, we know in Africa and the third world, people are dependent on the gurus of this religion. They don't go back, and that's one of the criticism against religion, that people lose the sense of critical thinking and reflection. And they become dogmatic in their attitude. And that is what has led to many religious trauma. That's another topic I would like to explore.
Yeah.
The prevalence of religious trauma. You see that? So that is the danger. There's nothing wrong in gatherings that I read, I learn, but mind what you are eating, because you are feeding your spirit and it's going to your soul. You have to check out, where is that person coming from? What is their belief system? Conduct a background check on them. You see, these are the danger. We cannot just open up our soul, our mind to anyhow teacher. The other day, I listened to some speakers on Facebook, and I was putting my hand on my head and say, Jay. And there are many people following these people dogmatically, and so we see that, and that's why we are very cautious. We train people in transpersonal mental health. Take responsibility for your spiritual health. Take responsibility. You cannot push your spiritual health and your spiritual nutrition on an individual. No, you must take responsibility. And that is one of the limitations of religious psychology, when people don't invest in individual spiritual development. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think we can talk on that for forever, as you will know, because again, um, there's some level of consciousness and subconscious activities involved in that. Because again, it gets to a point where you are actually conscious of, like you said, understanding yourself before you can begin to take some before you can begin to take some decision as to who to listen to, who you want to teach you, and what kind of teaching you are expecting. So, but not until then, you will have developed a kind of BS. I mean, talking a belief system to a point where you now realize that, well, you need to change your mind. You need to reorientate yourself. You need to rediscover yourself. So you get to a point, and things may have gone worse at that point. But again, I understand what you mean. Before you can take responsibility or ownership of your spiritual development, you get to a point where you have to rely heavily and perhaps solely on some teachings and teachers, which may be unfortunate. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate that. Yes, still moving on, because as you are talking, questions were rolling in. I think internet is messing up, but I think we're back. Can you see on the screen at all?
Yeah.
Can spirituality towards depression? Yeah, I think you have touched on that really, because again, just your belief system will help you, in terms of how you deal with yourself, and at what level, or at what point do you think? I'm not saying therefore that spirituality is the direct, medication or solution to depression. But again, I think it has some level. It has some role to play. It can be of some level of influence on that. Can you have a go on that, sir?
Yeah, I'll go back to the model that we use. Our model is bio, psycho, social, spiritual. Bio, psycho, social, spiritual model. That is our model. So we are not only relying on spirituality to cure or to develop a coping strategy, but you must also examine the biological domain of the individual in terms of their nutrition, their physical health. Are they exercising? What is happening there? Bio, psycho, psychologically, what is their belief system? What do they believe? Their psyche, their mentality. Social, who are the people in their life? Like my mom used to say, show me your friend and I will show you your future. So the social aspect of that. And then we now look at the spiritual. And that is the model we use in our clinic. We are not based, even though it's a spiritual approach to mental health, we integrate the biological dimension, the psychological dimension, the social dimension of our existence. Those are the holistic component of our intervention in our clinic. So, for example, people come for prayers, by the grace of God, I'm a reverend. I'm an ordained reverend. I flow in the prophetic ministry. And they say, oh, what is God saying? And then I stop and ask them, can you show me your personal development plan for 2024? They're like, oh, what do you mean? I say, why should God speak to you when you have no plan? That I'm looking at the psychological now. What is their mindset? What is their thinking pattern? They want the spiritual intervention. And they don't want to take responsibility for the cognitive aspect of their life by putting a plan on paper. It is a plan that is on paper that God will direct you. If you have any plan and you're asking God to direct you, you should be arrested. Violating law. So that's it. So however, there are extreme depression, that you will know that those extreme cases, there is a spiritual entity responsible for that. For example, persistent suicidal thought coming from acute depression. suicide is a thought in the spirit of death.
Mm.
The medical model, they don't have any framework for that, but we know there's a spirit called death, an entity called death that speaks to the mind of people. I've had family member that went through that, as in first cousin that went through that here in England, and he told me, he said, "Uncle, I hear that voice every day telling me I should die." And one day he went to the kitchen, drank washing liquid. How do you give such a person an intervention that is just only biological, social? No, you now explore the spiritual. So you take care of the biological, the social, the psychological. Then you now look at the spiritual. Why is this guy hearing this voice? Where is the voice coming from? That's what we use in our clinic, an integrated approach to mental health. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I think that dimension may be a challenge in the scientific world, in terms of the empirical evidence or of what you're talking about. So again, and I think that will lead us to this question that I'm about to ask you, because we have two more. This one talks about, if you can look at it on the screen as well, he said, Prof, what is your take on the issues of over-medication of people with mental health? How can the message of treating the root causes of mental health rather than the symptoms that, like you have just mentioned now, get to the relevant authorities? I'm not sure how you want the spiritual dimension as a pure medication to be involved in this to get to that. But you can have a go.
I mean, thank you so much, Uncle Dari, for this question. About 7 years ago, the Psychiatric Medicine Authority in the UK, which you can check it up, decided to integrate spirituality into psychiatric intervention. But our challenge in the transpersonal movement is that the spirituality is integrated as a support. It is not based on a spiritual framework that sees your spirit as the essence of your being, not as a component. That is the challenge. So they now look at spiritual support, spirituality, and mental health. So a lot of research have shown that spirituality promotes good mental health. But that is on the surface. They see it as an intervention, as a support, not as the foundation of their intervention. That's the difference. Now, medication, I totally agree with medication. However, it has its limitation. It becomes addictive. How do you now take the patient from addictiveness of medication? That's another question. You are trying to cure, to provide a solution, and that solution is leading to another problem. For example, people that are addicted to sleeping pills, how can they sleep like a baby without that medication? You have to start another therapy on that. And that's why we now talk about the spiritual, the bio-psycho-social spiritual model. And by the way, if you want to be trained in this, you can contact me. There are training that we give to professionals, healthcare professionals, and we have licenses from America to train professionals in transpersonal mental care intervention. Now, talking about the authorities, relevant authorities, here is the danger. Now, every curriculum, whether in medical school, in any educational establishment, always come with what we call hidden curriculum. And the hidden curriculum has a political undertone. Like what our brother in Nigeria, the famous singer Zazu said. He said, after God, government. So the government has a strong role to play. So the political will is what we need to embrace this kind of intervention. And that's why we have to get involved with the government. We cannot stay away now from the government. No. To make policy that will affect our life, we have to be involved in the government. I'm very fortunate. I'm a diplomat. I'm working with the government, and these are the things we are presenting before the government. That we are not asking people to drop their medication. No, but we're integrating the spiritual to maintain, to have an holistic perspective into the intervention. So the medication is there. Use the medication, but don't now become addicted to the medication. That's it. Can a man rise above the medication? Yes. By the time that individual begin to develop a spiritual life, he will be able to rise above the addiction of the medication. That's it, we're saying. Because we know from the psychosomatic effect, the mind affect the body, and we know the spiritual affect the mind. Thank you.
That's true. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yes, I'm sure that that question must have been dealt with adequately. Thank you so much for that. Let me check if we still have any more questions coming in. Somebody was saying that after portable quotes, after God is the government, we have to be involved in government, get involved in policy implementation that will progress our lives. Very true, very true. Thank you. Yes, that's from the team. Yes. So I think Prof was asking in terms of a question: spirituality, a moderator variable. How does that work? Spirituality as a moderator variable.
Prof, I'm not a quantitative scientist. I'm purely qualitative.
Is it operational research here?
So I'm a firm believer in qualitative research methodology, and also my ontological paradigm rests in a spiritual epistemology, and that is where I am. So looking at spirituality as a variable, I stand contrary against my approach and my belief system. Spirituality is not very, it's constant. Every human is a spirit, regardless whether they are conscious or not conscious of it. Every human is a spirit, and that's what we believe in transpersonal movement.
Yeah,
thank you, man.
Definitely. First and foremost, we are spiritual being. First and foremost. All right. Thank you. Yes, this is confirming what you said. It says Zalisa, prolonged use of medication does more harm than good. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, but again, if it has to be on medication and prescription, you just have to stick to it. We know it's got its effects, and that's where I think your spiritual strength is very important as well. While you are taking it, just be conscious of who you are spiritually, and then get spiritual intervention into everything we do. I think that's what you are trying to say. Even if it is going to be in form of a therapy, spiritual therapies, meditation, just talk to yourself, build up your inner self, and then so that things that are not known to doctors can be dealt with internally, and then you can be free from such things. We've seen. There's no doubt that we've seen people coming out of some situation like that, by prayers or by meditation or by just talking to God. That is documented. We've seen that. Whether science wants to accept that or not, it's a different ball game. I think there are different dimensions, like you said, to solving a problem, and it's all wrapped up in what you believe and what you think will work for you. And I think that is very true. So thank you so much. I'm not sure there's any other question coming in or remarks coming in, because I know that it's a challenging topic, and there's no way we can exhaust this, because again, it's so wide and challenging, in the way it is. People have got their personal experiences, they've got their, they've got things to share, things to talk about, and of course, things they don't really want to talk about, and it's all wrapped up in the context of what we are discussing. So I want to really thank you, Prof, for your time and for discussion, and to everyone joining with us on Facebook, on YouTube, and of course on LinkedIn. Thank you so much for your questions, for your interactions, participation, and of course comments and contributions. Very powerful, very thought-provoking, and we appreciate it. Because of time again, I think we will be putting it to a halt at the moment, because again, we want to ensure that we can call Prof again someday, and he will be obliged to attend to our invitation. Yeah. So, friends, I don't know if there's any one or two questions you want to, comment you want to say lastly before we ask Prof to give us his concluding or final words, if there's any from him, so that it will end his own presentation, and then we can do our own concluding remarks from this office. So, Prof, while we'll see whether people want to put one or two things in the chat, do you have any final word? If there's any message you want to pass across to the people attending and listening to you today, sir, on this issue of the transpersonal mental health, what would that message be?
The message would be the bio-psycho-social spiritual model. You have to look at our biological, our social, psychological, and our spiritual life. Because there are two extremes. You either look completely exclude your spiritual life, and then we have people that believe in spirituality, they exclude their social life, their psychological well-being, and their biological well-being. So what we are saying is an holistic approach to mental health. It has to be holistic. So the bio-psycho-social spiritual model is what the world needs. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much for that. Thank you for your time as well. Thank you for the knowledge you have shared, and of course, thank you for the way you have done your presentation. We can tell that indeed this is good. Thank you so much for that. And to those who are attending, and to those who will be listening to this after it's been recorded post live, recording, we want to thank you as well. Always make sure you subscribe, and register so that you don't have to miss any of our editions or episodes, because you'll be notified, as we go. So thank you for attending and participating in this masterclass tonight. We hope you find it stimulating and educational. If you have any question, or comment or inquiries, please visit our website at www.skillsmindset.com and leave us a message. One of our team members will reach out to you. We encourage you as well to subscribe and follow us on our various platforms so you don't miss any episode, of our masterclass and podcast as well. The masterclass, like I say, is a monthly, live show or live event. Another one will be coming in the month of May. I will notify you early enough so that you prepare and plan your time and schedules so that you can attend. I encourage you, therefore, friends, as you go to approach every moment of whatever you do with courage and optimism. Keep pursuing your dreams with knowledge and unwavering passion. Until next time, take care, stay focused, and then I want to say goodbye for now. Thank you so much, Prof. I want to thank you. Thank you for that well presented, well discussed, and full of engagement. We really appreciate you. We'll be reaching out to you, asking you to come back another time. And then, yes, to attendees, the ones I can see their comments, thank you so much. Thank you. Always thank you. Professor Abose Adebi, I always appreciate your consistency and attending. Thank you so much, and thank you for participating. You're not just only attending, you're always also chipping in things to help us as well. Thank you, Dari. Thank you all other ones on YouTube and Facebook who cannot see. Thank you. And until then, I want to say good night and God bless.
The world is changing, and so does change. But the mind has the potential to capture the changing world and make every change count. At Skillsmindset, the leading global skills, strategy and corporate development company, we believe that the mind has the potential of transforming the man from obscurity to prominence. It's the reason why we make skills our business. At Skillsmindset, we stand for change, for development and for success. We challenge, we inspire and we lead. With Skillsmindset, your limit is just the beginning. Welcome to Skillsmindset. For more information about the great service we provide, please visit our website on www.skillsmindset.com or give us a call on our UK number on 07957 676 193. Better still, send us an email on info@skillsmindset.com. Skills Mindset. Challenging limits, maximising opportunities.